2 years before Joseph ran Egypt, he was a forgotten prisoner. 1 year before Hannah held her son, she was mocked for crying in a temple. 1 night before David wore a crown, he was hiding in a cave from men who wanted him dead. Same pattern every single time, and nobody tells you the reason why. Here's the truth nobody's preaching. God doesn't send a warning before your setback. He sends one right before your miracle. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 4 signs, straight from Scripture, that show up right before breakthrough hits. Not vibes, not superstition, a pattern, the same one over and over, in different centuries, in different lives. If even one of these is happening to you right now, stay with me, because you're closer than you think. Now, before I go further, let me be straight with you. I'm not saying every hard week means a miracle drops tomorrow. Some seasons are just hard. Some are consequences. That's real life. This isn't hype. What I am saying is this. There's a specific pattern, and once you see it, you stop panicking in the middle of it. You start recognizing it for what it actually is.
So let's talk about why this pattern even exists. Here's the principle. God doesn't move into a life that's still full. He moves into empty. Hannah's womb had to be empty before it could hold Samuel. Joseph's name had to be stripped down to nothing before Pharaoh built it back up. David had to lose the palace before he could win the throne the honest way, with nobody able to say he schemed for it. So these 4 signs, they're not punishment, they're the emptying. And once you get that, everything happening to you right now starts making a different kind of sense. Sign 1. God goes quiet right before he does his loudest work. Nobody talks about this one, and it's the one that messes with people the most, because we assume silence means absence. Look at Joseph. He interprets a dream for Pharaoh's cupbearer in prison. He says one thing, "Remember me when you get out." And Scripture says the cupbearer forgot him completely. Genesis 40 ends right there, on the forgetting. Then chapter 41 opens with 2 words that hit harder than almost anything else in the Bible. 2 full years. 2 years of nothing. 2 years where Joseph woke up every single day in that cell, wondering if the dream God gave him as a teenager just died there with him.
Here's what Joseph didn't know. While he sat in silence, Pharaoh was about to have a dream only Joseph could interpret. The timing wasn't late, it was exact. God wasn't ignoring Joseph. He was arranging an entire nation to need him. If your prayers feel like they're hitting a ceiling right now, if you've asked and asked again and heaven feels shut, don't confuse silence with absence. In Scripture, the longest silences almost always come right before the loudest breakthroughs. Sign 2. The wait outlasts your reason to stay hopeful. This one's brutal, because it's not a short wait. It's a wait so long, hope itself starts to feel embarrassing. Hannah didn't wait months for a child. She waited years, while her husband's other wife mocked her for it. Year after year, the text says. By the time she gets to the temple to pray, she's not hopeful in the way we picture hope. Scripture says she was deeply distressed, weeping, bitter. And here's the detail people skip. The priest, the one guy who's supposed to recognize a woman pouring her heart out to God, looks at her lips moving without sound and thinks she's drunk. That's what a long delay does. It doesn't just test your patience, it makes your faith look foolish to the people watching.
But watch what happens. The priest corrects himself, blesses her, and Hannah goes and eats, and her face isn't sad anymore. Not because anything visible changed. Nothing had changed yet. But something shifted the moment she let go of gripping the outcome. If your hope right now isn't the believing big kind anymore, if you're just still showing up, that's not weak faith. That's Hannah, 1 year before Samuel. Sign 3. The people closest to you stop believing it's still possible. This one hurts the most because it doesn't come from strangers, it comes from your own camp. David gets anointed king as a teenager. Everybody in that room sees it happen. And then, for years, he's not on a throne. He's running for his life, hiding in caves, watching the kingdom he was promised get further away, not closer. And it's not just Saul turning on him. 1 Samuel 22, David ends up in a cave, and the guys who show up around him, not warriors, not advisors. Scripture calls them in distress, in debt, and discontented. A cave of broken men. Even his own father didn't think to call him in from the fields the day Samuel came looking for a king.
Here's the sign. Sometimes, right before your breakthrough, the people who love you stop being able to see what you're still holding on to. Not because they're against you, because delay wears people down faster than it wears you down. They didn't get the promise, you did. If people close to you have gone quiet on your dream, that's not a verdict. David built a kingdom with doubters standing right next to him. Sign 4. Right before it happens, it's going to look like it already failed. This is the last one, and it's the hardest because it doesn't feel like a delay. It feels like an ending. Joseph, one more time. Pharaoh has his dreams. Joseph gets pulled from prison, interprets them, and in one chapter, one single chapter, he goes from forgotten prisoner to the second most powerful man in Egypt. But right before that, from the outside, his story looked done. Finished, a slave, falsely accused, forgotten. If you asked anyone watching his life in year 12, is this building toward a throne? They'd laugh at you. That's the final tactic of every long wait. Right before the door opens, the whole thing looks like proof it was never going to happen. Think about the disciples, the Saturday between the crucifixion and the resurrection. Every promise Jesus made was still true. Nothing in the plan changed, but for one full day, his own followers believed it was over. They weren't wrong to grieve. They were wrong about what the silence meant.
Sunday was already coming. They just couldn't see it yet. If your situation right now looks like it's over, ask yourself, is this actually the end, or is this just Saturday? Let's bring this home. Joseph's silence lasted 2 years. Then he ran Egypt in a single day. Hannah's delay outlasted her hope. Then she raised Israel's greatest prophet. David's own camp stopped believing, and he still became king, exactly how it was promised. And Joseph's story looked completely finished right before it became the very thing that saved his whole family. One more thing before you go. Not every silence ends in a miracle next week. Not every delay is the final stretch. I'm not telling you to treat every hard week like a countdown. But if you've got silence you didn't expect, a delay that's outlasted your hope, people around you who've stopped believing with you, and a situation that looks like it already failed, all four stacked together in a season where you know God's been working, that's worth paying attention to. Not because it guarantees a date on the calendar, but because it means you're not crazy for still holding on. Joseph held on in a cell. Hannah held on through the mockery. David held on in a cave. None of them knew in that exact moment the door was one day away. You don't have to know either. You just have to not walk away the day before it opens.